good morning. It's a world exclusive coming to you from just outside City Hall. We've got the bus, and guess what? We've got Boris as well. Yes, we're joined by London Mayor Boris Johnson here on the lower deck of the bus. Mr. Mayor, welcome to the programme. Thank you for coming on board.
Good morning, Nick.
You're looking particularly sprightly, I have to say.
You're very kind to say so. I'm very pleased with this bus. I think it's, it was a long time ago that London first commissioned a bus that would be particularly suited for the needs of Londoners. This is an amazing vehicle. It's not only made in Britain, generating jobs in this country, but it will be one of the cleanest, greenest buses on the roads. It'll do, in tests, it's done 11.6 miles per gallon, so it really starts to answer some of our...
Well, it should for 1.7 million a bus, shouldn't it, Mr. Mayor?
That is, of course, the price that you've worked out by dividing the number of buses...
Well, the amount of money spent by the number of buses produced comes to 1.7.
But that's complete nonsense, as your listeners will understand very, very easily when I explain that that's the development, the investment in the whole programme of getting this technology going. That technology is now going to be available to TfL for use around the world. The buses
Have we sold any around the world,
buses
Mr. Mayor?
like that, there is a... If you talk to Peter Hendy and to people involved in exporting this...
Have we sold any?
There is a great deal of interest.
Is there?
There's a
what
great
sort of
deal
interest?
I'm told Hong Kong is showing interest, and buses like this and the technology that this has produced will actually inform future generations' evolutions of buses in London. So it's not just this double-decker new generation Routemaster that we're on. There are going to be other buses, single-deckers, right. Other buses that will benefit from the investment in technology that we've made. What this bus says to the world, it says, Britain is still a country that makes things and makes beautiful things. Yeah. This is a wonderful looking bus.
Your enthusiasm is not shared by someone, I don't know how close you are, Michael Portillo. He was on board this bus a couple of hours ago. He left you this message.
I am a regular bus user, and I rather like the bendy bus, but I was very annoyed, as many people must have been, that passengers kept going on without paying, and that's because it had 3 sets of doors. So the new bus enters an entirely new age by having 3 sets of doors. So, of course, people could get onto this bus and not pay their fares, but apparently it's going to have a conductor. Now, you think about the years in which we struggled to get to one-man operated buses, the introduction of the Oyster card, all the other investments that went into it. So what Boris gives us is another 3-door bus, and we go all the way back to conductors. I think the thing's complete nonsense.
Well, dear old Michael, I mean, I think he has... he's making a passionate defence of the bendy bus there. I don't think he's right. I don't want to go back to those days.
This has got 3 doors.
And the great advantage of this bus, which I think people will appreciate, is that it will have a conductor
all the time.
And certainly when the 3rd door is in operation, you will have a conductor on it. That's to say, the open platform at the back.
Right.
And I think that is
but that will open to let people on and off.
Yeah. No. It will be open full time when the bus is moving through slow traffic.
I appreciate that. But if it's just one person...
Can I just complete the point? Because I think Michael made an important point about the bendy, which is that it was basically becoming a free bus. It was a free bus. I think the Route 29 was known as the free bus, and I think that was completely wrong.
But why will this not be the free bus when the conductor's not on board?
The bendy was losing.
Mr. Mayor.
The bendy was losing.
Yeah, never mind the bendy. We've moved on. With respect, sir. Yeah. Why will this not be the free bus when the conductor is not on board?
Because when the conductor is not on board, you won't have the 3rd door open.
So they won't open and close at all to let people on?
When the conductor is not on board, you won't have the open platform at the back.
It won't open at all and then close again to let people on?
Well, as I understand it,
you
have to have a conductor in order to operate the 3rd door.
So it doesn't open to let people on and off and then close once they're on?
Well, my intention is to have this
thing
running as much as possible with a conductor, which is, I think, what Londoners want.
Right.
And people will criticise us and say, well, why are you spending extra money on conductors? I think actually it's worthwhile having someone. It creates jobs, and actually many people in this city, I think, mourn the loss of the conductor.
But they won't always be on this bus, will they?
They were taken away.
It's only sometimes.
And I'm delighted to say that we will be able to bring them back. When that platform is running open, we will have conductors on that.
Okay, all right. So all the work done to get to one-man or one-person buses, that's all gone now?
No, that's not true. It's gone...
You just said we're bringing conductors back.
For the purposes of this bus, when you've got an open platform, you will have a conductor, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I defend it, and I'm proud of it. I think
what are you going to call them? Because they're not conductors, are they? They're not going
Right.
to check tickets.
I think they will be called whatever the public wants them
Well,
to be
you must
called.
have an idea, Mr. Mayor. This bus comes into service in less than 2
I think,
months.
well, what's wrong with conductors?
Nothing. Is that what they're going to be called, is it?
Are they going to be called?
All right, just lastly on the subject of buses, bus drivers want an extra £500 to work through the Olympics because, says the union, we're going to have 1 million, possibly 1 million more people on the buses. How do you respond to that?
Well, this is clearly a matter for the bus companies, and I don't myself think it's right. There's no reason for them to ask for this extra cash. They're not being asked to do any extra time.
You don't support it,
I don't support it. No, there's no extra burden that we can see, that I can see on the bus drivers. But clearly, that's a matter for negotiation between them and the bus companies.
And where do you stand with the tube drivers when they want extra money, 3 times pay and a day off to work this Boxing Day, effectively quadruple pay?
Well, I do think that is completely wrong and chiseling, because they are rostered to do 260 days a year. There's no reason at all why they should suddenly go for this extra demand. And I think lots of people looking at this, when we're trying to generate as many jobs as possible, we're trying to keep people in employment, they think it's frankly incredible that people are using their position to try to leverage more money out of London's transport budget. And we are determined not to give way. We won't give way. And what I will say is that we will run as big a service as we possibly can.
And you would urge bus companies not to give way likewise?
Well, that is a matter for them. I don't want to get involved in their negotiations, Nick. But you've heard what I had to say about the position. I don't think it's reasonable.
Let's get some calls. Dave's in Welling, and he wants to talk to you about this bus. Dave, go ahead. Good morning. You're through to the Mayor.
Oh, good morning. Good morning, Boris. Well,
Morning, Dave.
The buses that I travel on now, mainly, I get confrontation with the seats facing one another. So have you alleviated this problem where people can't put the soles of their dirty shoes on the seats, or have you got seats still facing one another?
Well, I'm just looking
at the bus. I'm just looking at the bus
down
now,
the back of the bus.
We do have some seats where they are. I'm afraid there is scope for the problem you describe. But what I would say, Dave, is that I'm very pleased that bus crime and violence on buses has actually come down very substantially in the last period since I've been mayor. It's down about 30%, and I'm very proud of that. I think it's a great achievement by TfL and by the police as well. And one of the reasons why I think it would be folly to cut budgets for policing in London.
Dave, thank you for that. I don't know necessarily we can hold the mayor responsible for bad behaviour or what happens on the buses.
It is important.
I say that, but it's not your fault that people put their feet on the bus.
Well, I think we should discourage it actively, and I'm delighted that Dave raises it, because it is something that reduces the quality of people's experience on our buses. But we are determined to keep bringing down crime on buses.
To Tottenham, and Charles, you're on the radio. Charles, good morning.
Good morning, Nick. Good morning, Mayor Johnson.
Good morning.
My first time speaking to you, and I congratulate you, by the way, on this new bus. I've not been on it yet.
It's fabulous.
I'm a visually impaired person.
All right.
Now, can you tell me a couple of things? I want to know, does the bus have rails to hold on which you can get to easily?
I would...
off a seat or whatever, when you want to go off a bus or get on it.
I would say that it's got an abundance of rails, and they're situated very, very handily. They're Nick, I don't know whether you'd agree, but they're up as you come in. In the middle door. They're very.
Listen, Charles, I have to concede I'm not a huge bus user, but I have to say I don't think I've ever seen more rails on a bus, even that I've taken at an airport. And I'm grateful. Okay, Charles, and enjoy your first journey. I'm sure it's very soon. Mayor Johnson, although of course Charles does not have this problem, but other disability issues, have these buses got built on ramps?
They have, and certainly, like every other bus in London, we want to make sure that our ramps are operational full time. This was one of the things that during the consultation period, lobbies for people with disabilities, looked at the bus and they said, could it be improved in this particular way? And we worked on it to try and make it even more accessible. And I think that is one of the triumphs of this bus. We bring back the open platform at the back, and yet we make it fully Disability Act compliant. That was the difficult thing to pull off.
Ken Livingstone says it's a vanity project.
Well, I think any Labour candidate or any candidate has got to decide whether they're in favour of a bus that is clean, green, delivers British jobs, is a wonderful example of what this country can make, or whether they want to bring back a German-made bendy bus that was not suited to the streets of London.
Trevor says we've got the Boris bike, the Boris bus. When can we have the Boris bridge? Mayor Johnson.
Well, we are Trevor, I'm pleased to tell you that we are working on a series now of river crossings, and with with Newham and with all the other boroughs, we are working on not just the cable car, which will be ready next year, but also a new tunnel, a new bridge, and then of course there's the further crossing at Dartford. And so what we're doing now
is... What do you mean another? Well, they're building another crossing at Dartford.
If you listen in the Chancellor's autumn statement, he made that point.
Yeah, okay.
That you need to relieve congestion on the M25, Nick, by having another crossing at Dartford.
Interesting, you've mentioned the Chancellor. How did your meeting go with him about Boris Airport, the airport in the Thames Estuary?
Well, the interesting thing about the government at the moment is that I think there is a genuine move going on to reopen the idea of more aviation capacity.
So the Chancellor was supportive when you spoke with him?
And I think that would be, an exaggeration, Nick. I don't want to say. I can't claim that the Chancellor is yet a fully paid-up aficionado of one solution.
How would you characterise his reception?
I would say it was moving in a very positive direction, in the sense that I think the government understands the argument for growth and for unlocking aviation capacity, and the whole idea of keeping London, the South East, restricted to what Heathrow can provide is over, and I think we need to move forward.